Right now, someone is looking at your life and feeling a burning resentment they'll never admit. Your happiness makes them miserable. Your growth makes them feel stuck. Your peace makes them question everything about themselves, and they hate you for it. There's a wars being fought around you every single day, and you don't even know you're the target. No weapons, no shouting, just subtle looks, calculated silences, and friendships that mysteriously go cold. You've been wondering what you did wrong. The truth? You did everything right. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact moment when admiration turns to hatred and why the people closest to you are often the ones most likely to secretly wish for your downfall. The psychology behind this will shock you. What you're about to discover will change everything. The 7 psychological triggers that turn people against you have nothing to do with your actions and everything to do with their pain. And trigger number 4 is happening in your life right now. You just walked into your workplace coffee break room and suddenly, silence. Everyone stops talking. Eyes dart away. That fake smile appears. Something just shifted in the air. And you felt it in your chest before your brain could even process it. What you're about to discover will change how you see every cold shoulder, every fake smile, every friend who mysteriously went quiet. Because the psychology behind why people secretly hate you, it's darker than you think. By the end of this video, you'll know the 7 hidden triggers that make people turn against you, and the shocking truth about which one is destroying your relationships right now without you even knowing it. If you've ever felt that invisible wall between you and someone who used to be close, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what we're about to uncover together will arm you with the psychological insights that most people will never understand. Let's dive in. Section 1, the invisible enemy. Here's what nobody tells you about human psychology. Hatred doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't slam doors or raise voices. The most dangerous kind of hatred whispers. It lurks in sideways glances and sudden silences. And right now, someone in your life is carrying resentment toward you that you don't even know exists. Think about it. When was the last time someone just changed toward you? No fight, no argument, just a slow, cold drift that you couldn't explain. You probably blamed yourself, didn't you? Wondered what you did wrong? But what if I told you it had nothing to do with what you did and everything to do with what you represent? Stay with me, because the first psychological trigger we're about to expose will make you see every awkward interaction in your past with crystal clarity. Section 2, the envy trap. Here's the twisted truth. Sometimes the better you become, the more enemies you create. Sarah thought she was losing her mind. Her closest work friend, Emma, had suddenly turned ice cold. No more morning coffee chats, no more weekend texts, just professional politeness that felt like a slap in the face. What Sarah didn't know was that Emma had been watching Sarah get promoted, watching her confidence grow, watching her succeed while Emma felt stuck in the same position. Same salary, same life. If you've ever been punished for your own growth, type 1 in the comments right now. The psychology here is brutal but simple. Your success became Emma's daily reminder of her own stagnation. Every time Emma saw Sarah, she didn't see a friend. She saw a mirror reflecting everything she wasn't. But here's what Sarah never realized. Emma's hatred wasn't about Sarah at all. It was about Emma's relationship with herself. This is just the beginning, because envy is actually the gentlest of the 7 psychological triggers. Wait until you see what happens when projection takes over. Drop a comment right now. Have you ever lost a friend to success? Just type mirror if this hit too close to home. Section 3, the projection prison. What I'm about to reveal will disturb you. Someone close to you is making you the villain in a story you're not even part of. Meet David. Confident, calm, has his life together. His brother Mark started treating him like a stranger after family gatherings. Cold responses, eye rolls, passive-aggressive comments about David being perfect. But what was really happening in Mark's mind? Mark was drowning. Failed relationship, dead-end job. Watching his younger brother David navigate life with ease while Mark felt like he was failing at everything. So Mark's brain did what brains do when they can't handle the truth. It created a different story. David wasn't successful because he worked hard. David was successful because he was arrogant. David wasn't confident, he was condescending. David wasn't thriving, he was showing off. This is projection. When someone can't face their own pain, they paint it onto you. But projection is nothing compared to what happens when someone decides your values are a personal attack on theirs. That's coming next. And if you're starting to see patterns in your own relationships, make sure you're subscribed because we're about to go deeper into the psychology that most people never recognize. Section 4, the values war. Your moral compass is making someone hate you right now. Here's the psychological trap nobody talks about. When your values quietly contradict someone else's lifestyle, they feel judged, even when you never said a word. Lisa lives simply. No debt, no drama, healthy relationships. She never preached, never judged. But her sister Rachel couldn't stand being around her anymore, because every time Rachel saw Lisa's peaceful life, it highlighted Rachel's chaos. Lisa's discipline reflected Rachel's impulsiveness. Lisa's contentment exposed Rachel's constant complaining. Rachel started making comments, "Must be nice to be so perfect. Not everyone can live in a bubble. Some of us have real problems." But what was Rachel really saying? She was saying, "Your way of living makes me feel bad about mine, so I need to tear down your way to feel better about my choices." This values conflict creates a psychological battlefield where your very existence becomes a threat. But wait until you see how gossip weaponizes these feelings. If someone has ever resented you for living differently, comment values below. Section 5, the gossip weapon. Right now, someone is rewriting your story, and you have no idea it's happening. The most dangerous person in your life isn't your enemy. It's the friend who smiles while spreading poison. Marcus got promoted, fair and square. 3 years of extra hours, extra projects, extra effort. But within a week, whispers started. He must know someone. Politics, you know? I heard he threw someone under the bus. None of it was true. But here's the psychological weapon of gossip. It doesn't need to be true to destroy trust. The people spreading these rumors weren't evil, they were uncomfortable. Marcus's promotion forced them to confront their own lack of progress, so they created a story that made his success illegitimate. The real psychology behind gossip, it's not about bringing you down, it's about lifting the gossiper up. Every lie they spread gives them a hit of superiority, but gossip is external. What happens when the hatred comes from someone who knows you intimately? When family turns cold? That's next. If this is hitting different, make sure you're subscribed, and let's keep going deeper. Section 6, family rivalry psychology. The most painful hatred comes from the people who were supposed to celebrate you. Jennifer couldn't understand why her sister stopped calling after Jennifer bought her first house. Same sister who used to be her best friend. Same sister who knew every dream Jennifer had worked toward for years. But psychology reveals the truth. Family rivalry cuts deeper because it threatens identity. When siblings compete, it's not just about success, it's about rewriting childhood roles. Jennifer had always been the struggling one. Her sister had been the successful one. Jennifer's new house didn't just represent achievement, it represented a threat to her sister's entire self-concept. What happens when the person who was always behind suddenly moves ahead? The brain treats it like a personal attack. Not because Jennifer did anything wrong, but because her sister's identity was built on being the better one. If you've ever been frozen out by family after a win, you know this pain is different. Type family if this resonates. But family dynamics pale in comparison to what happens when someone decides you're a threat to their worldview. Section 7, communication breakdown. One misunderstood sentence destroyed a 10-year friendship. Here's how. Tom and Jake, business partners, best friends. During a stressful week, Tom said, "Let's just focus on what matters." Tom meant, prioritize the urgent tasks. Jake heard, "What you're doing doesn't matter." Jake never asked for clarification. He just withdrew, started questioning everything Tom said through the lens of that one moment. This is the psychology of confirmation bias in relationships. Once someone decides you meant harm, they find evidence everywhere. Every email becomes cold. Every suggestion becomes controlling. Every success becomes arrogance. Because Jake's brain was now looking for proof that Tom didn't respect him. The tragedy? Tom had no idea. He kept trying to reconnect while Jake kept pulling away, creating a cycle of confusion and resentment. Most relationship endings aren't about big betrayals. They're about small misunderstandings that were never corrected. But miscommunication is fixable. What's coming next isn't. When someone lacks the basic capacity for empathy. Comment clarity if you've ever watched a relationship die from misunderstanding. Section 8. The empathy desert. Some people are psychologically incapable of seeing your side. Here's why. Alex tried everything to repair his friendship with Ryan, apologized for misunderstandings that weren't even his fault, explained his perspective, offered to start fresh. Nothing worked, because Ryan operated from a psychological position that made empathy impossible. Everything was about him. When Alex got a new job, Ryan saw it as abandonment. When Alex set boundaries, Ryan saw it as rejection. When Alex succeeded, Ryan saw it as showing off. Ryan couldn't step outside his own experience long enough to see Alex as a separate person with separate needs. This is emotional narcissism, the inability to hold space for another person's reality. And here's what's terrifying. You can't reason with someone who lacks empathy. You can't explain yourself to someone who refuses to see you. But empathy deficits create predictable patterns. And once you recognize them, you can protect yourself. The final psychological trigger will show you how. Section 9. The competition trap. The most dangerous person in your life is someone who sees your existence as their failure. Michelle and Sandra, college roommates, stayed close for years. Same career path, same goals, same dreams. But when Michelle got the promotion Sandra wanted, something shifted permanently. Sandra couldn't celebrate Michelle's win because Sandra's brain had made Michelle's success about Sandra's inadequacy. Sandra started undermining Michelle subtly, questioning her decisions, minimizing her achievements, making jokes at her expense. Because Sandra had confused competition with identity, Michelle's rise felt like Sandra's fall. What happens when someone decides there's only room for one person to succeed? They become psychologically invested in your failure. Not because they hate you, but because they need you to fail to feel okay about themselves. The most toxic rivalries aren't with enemies, they're with people who once cheered for you. Section 10, the master psychology. Here's what changes everything. Understanding that their hatred is information about them, not you. Every cold shoulder, every fake smile, every sudden distance, it's all data. Data about their insecurities, their unhealed wounds, their internal battles. Your growth triggers their pain. Your confidence reflects their doubt. Your peace disturbs their chaos. But once you see this clearly, their behavior stops controlling your emotions. You stop taking their projections personally. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for becoming who you're meant to be. Because the ultimate truth is this: people who are secure in themselves celebrate others. People who are not, don't. Section 11, the shield of understanding. What if I told you that understanding these 7 psychological triggers could make you immune to other people's emotional attacks? When someone treats you with unexpected coldness instead of questioning yourself, you'll think, what pain are they projecting? When someone gossips about your success instead of feeling hurt, you'll recognize they're uncomfortable with their own stagnation. When family members grow distant after your wins, instead of guilt, you'll understand, my growth is threatening their identity. You become psychologically untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you see clearly. This is emotional intelligence at the highest level, recognizing that most human behavior is about the person acting, not the person they're acting toward. If this perspective shift is hitting you right now, type clarity in the comments. Section 12, the protection protocol. Here's your psychological armor for dealing with hidden hatred. First, don't absorb their emotions. When someone is cold, ask yourself, what are they really reacting to? Usually it's not you. Second, don't shrink to soothe them. Your growth, your confidence, your peace. These aren't attacks on others, they're gifts to yourself. Third, protect your energy. You can't heal someone else's insecurity by dimming your light. You're allowed to succeed without guilt. You're allowed to grow without permission. You're allowed to change without apologizing. The people who truly matter will celebrate your evolution. The people who don't were never really on your team. Remember Sarah from the beginning? Once she understood that Emma's coldness was about Emma's pain, not Sarah's success, Sarah stopped taking it personally. She kept growing. Emma eventually found her own path. Some relationships heal, others reveal their true nature. Section 13, the freedom revelation. The moment you stop trying to control other people's opinions is the moment you become truly free. You'll never be liked by everyone. That's not a failure. That's human nature. Your job isn't to be universally loved. Your job is to be authentically you. Some people will resent your discipline because it highlights their chaos. Some will envy your peace because it reflects their turmoil. Some will judge your choices because they're uncomfortable with their own. None of that is about you. All of it is information about them. When you understand this deeply, you stop walking on eggshells. You stop second-guessing your wins. You stop apologizing for taking up space. If you're ready to stop carrying other people's emotional baggage, type free in the comments. Section 14, the relationship filter. These 7 psychological triggers aren't just explanations. They're filters for identifying who deserves your energy. People who celebrate your growth without conditions, keep them close. People who need you to stay small for them to feel big, create distance. People who gossip about your success instead of asking how you achieved it, they've shown you who they are. Your inner circle should be people who see your wins as inspiration, not intimidation. When someone shows you they can't handle your growth, believe them the first time. Don't keep trying to prove you're worthy of their support. Quality relationships require emotional maturity from both sides. If someone can't provide that, it's not your job to teach them. Section 15, the legacy mindset. Here's what successful people understand. Not everyone is meant to join your journey. Some people are seasonal friends. They're meant to be part of your story for a chapter, not the whole book. Your character isn't defined by how others react to you. It's defined by how you respond to their reactions. When you handle hatred with grace, when you respond to jealousy with compassion, when you meet projection with understanding, that's when you become truly powerful. Years from now, the people who resented your growth will either have grown themselves or they'll still be explaining why everyone else succeeded instead of them. Your job is to keep moving forward with integrity, regardless of who chooses to come along. Section 16, the mastery moment. Everything we've covered leads to one ultimate truth about human psychology. People's reactions to you are always more about their internal world than your external actions. When you truly internalize this, you become unshakable. Not because you don't care about others, but because you don't let others' unhealed wounds become your emotional burden. You show up authentically, you grow without guilt, you succeed without shrinking, you maintain your values without needing everyone's approval. The 7 psychological triggers we've explored, envy, projection, values conflicts, gossip, rivalry, communication breakdowns, and empathy deficits, they're all variations of the same theme. People struggling with themselves and making it about you. Closing and call to action. You now have something most people will never possess. Psychological clarity about why people really react the way they do. You're not responsible for other people's insecurities. You're not required to stay small to make others comfortable. You're not obligated to dim your light to soothe someone else's darkness. Your only responsibility is to keep growing, keep contributing, keep becoming the person you're meant to be, regardless of who cheers and who carries resentment. If this video shifted something in your perspective, if you're ready to stop taking other people's projections personally, drop unstoppable in the comments. And if you want more content that gives you psychological insights most people never learn, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because understanding human psychology isn't just about dealing with difficult people. It's about becoming emotionally invincible. Always remember, their issues aren't your identity. Keep rising.